Am I the a-hole for telling my wife to kick out her friend who's been living with us for the past month after her husband kicked her out? My M45 wife's friend Zell, F32, has been living with us for the past month after her marriage imploded about a month ago. Zell came to our country about 3 years ago on a work visa. She was working for a company and met my wife Molly, F43, at a work event. Molly and Zell became quick friends as Molly used to do social work, and she found Zell's story to be very moving and interesting. Zell started dating this guy I'll call Ed, M35, who had recently launched a company in her field. She left her original job and started working for Ed, and not long after that, they got married. Zell's job became pretty cushy, so instead of working, she went back to college to pursue a career in social work, and since Molly had experience in this, she became a sort of mentor for Zell. With Ed funding Zell's education and living expenses, it seemed like everything was set for her. Fast forward to mid-August, and Ed found out Zell had been cheating on him for several weeks with one of her classmates. Ed immediately cut funding for Zell's education and kicked her out of his house. The prenup Ed had her sign left her with absolutely nothing, effectively making her penniless and homeless. On top of that, Ed has spread the story across their community, and as such, Zell's reputation is in tatters, and her family back in their home country wants nothing to do with her, supposedly. The divorce hasn't been finalized at the time of this writing. With the resources he has, I imagine Ed could speed up the process, but for whatever reason, it's dragging on. With seemingly no one to turn to, Zell came to us, and Molly welcomed her one day while I was at work. Since then, she has been living in our basement. Molly spends a lot of time now just talking to Zell and trying to help her get her life back on track. So much so that it is starting to affect our personal lives, and I feel like childcare has been made exclusively my responsibility for most of the week. Not only that, but since our gym equipment is in the basement, I had to stop working out, which has adversely affected my own mental health. I've been very annoyed about the entire situation, but have largely borne it in silence until last night. Right before bed, Molly started going on about how the divorce could take months and that we needed to find Zell a lawyer. At this stage, I told her that Zell had overstayed her welcome and needed to leave. It got pretty heated, and my wife said I was being shockingly unempathetic. I told her she was ignoring her responsibilities to our children, which deeply offended her. In the end, I told her that as a compromise, we could buy Zell a plane ticket back to her home country so she could be with her family. Molly was so upset at this for whatever reason and just responded with good night. We haven't spoken since then, partially because I decided to go work in my office today since I needed a break from Molly's nonsense. I honestly don't know what to do at this stage. I just want that woman out of my home. Am I the a-hole? Update. 15 hours later, and I still haven't really spoken to my wife. Partially because I was at work all day, but also because I was hoping she'd reach out first. When I got home, Zell was still hanging around like nothing happened, though I guess expecting her to magically leave would be asking for too much. Before the day is done, I will talk to my wife about our situation again because it needs to end. Also, for those wondering, the classmate won't have her either. According to my wife, he told Zell that his personal life would be destroyed if he tried pursuing anything with her, so he ended things abruptly. To my understanding, he has a wife who doesn't even know he cheated. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband that my period was not all about him? I, 37F, was already running late getting my twins ready for preschool this morning when my period started. It was about a week early, so I was completely unprepared, and it made a mess. So when my husband, 39M, came home from his overnight shift, he was already irritated to see that the kids weren't ready to go yet. I finished getting them together with his help and asked him to get them in their car seat so I could change. He begrudgingly did, taking them out and buckling them up before revving the engine to get me to hurry up. I rushed out and jumped in the car, apologizing and telling him I had to change because of my period. He just grunted and started driving, so I thought that was that. Moments later, he piped up, "I don't know why it matters if you got your period. You've been C***CK blocking me for 3 days anyway." I was so stunned that my normal quick wit had no comeback for that. I repeated what he'd said to make sure I'd heard him correctly, and he said, "Yeah," following it up with, "You should be happy you're not pregnant." This made me so mad I spat back, "Yeah, I should be grateful. It's not like it's a hassle or causes me pain or anything. Sorry, my bodily functions ruined your day." We argued for the rest of the drive there and back, pausing only to take the kids into the school. We got home and haven't talked to each other since. Notes. We've been together for 20-ish years. I am fixed and have been since the birth of our twins. He's the one who has a problem doing things during this time of the month. He's picked a fight with me for the past 2 mornings as well. Maybe they were PMS fights? Update. Before I could post this, we had started going about our day and talking again. And this mother F*** cur tells the dog, it'd be nice if I surprised him with a blowjob someday. And when he saw me looking at him like he had 3 heads, he went back to talking to the dog, bitterly saying, "Yeah, it's ridiculous, I know. I'm pretty sure I'm not the a-hole, but if this man keeps it up, I might be a felon by the end of the day." Next story. Am I the a-hole for sharing my anal kink with my GF? Hi everyone. I'm in a bit of a spot now, and would like to know whether what I told her made me an A or not. Burner for the sensitive nature. So my GF had a pretty solid relationship for the last 6 months. We're pretty compatible in bed, and I have no complaints. She is a vanilla person and well, I'm a bit into anal kink. I finally mustered up the courage to tell her about them yesterday. We snuggled into bed, and I broached the topic of kinks. She said she was willing to try if it wasn't anything extreme. I told her I like anal play, rimming, and mild busting, and she immediately recoiled. I told her I'd totally understand if she avoided rimming. However, she said it's disgusting, pervy, and gay to like that, as if being gay is wrong. Looking at me, you'd never guess I'm into this stuff. Hearing her say this stuff made me feel really queasy and uncomfortable. Needless to say, the mood was ruined. She then proceeded to sleep on the couch. Today morning, she was cold and didn't allow me to touch her, just saying she needed to think about what I said yesterday. Am I the a-hole? Am I disgusting or pervy? Edit. She called and said she wants to talk. I'm at work, and I'll be home in a few hours. I'll let you guys know what happens. Also, feel free to drop some suggestions on how and what I should say to her. Thank you all for your support. Edit 2. I've removed the part about my height and weight. I felt it was necessary for context because GF said men like me don't like this stuff. Sorry for offending anyone. I thought it'd be relevant. I know I'm average, smiley face. Edit 3. Oh fuck it, I have another confession. I don't know why I didn't write this in the original. Maybe because I was actually too ashamed to write it even in a throwaway account, but here it goes anyway. I also told her I like nipple stimulation, and her first reaction was to raise an eyebrow and ask me whether I was a man, a gay man, or a woman trapped in the body of a man. Sorry for withholding this. Y'all can laugh now. Edit 4. There have been some developments. I'll update later in a new update post. Edit 5. We broke up. I'll update you with details later. RN, I need a joint and some rest. It was amicable and mutual. Update. Am I the a-hole for sharing my anal kink with my GF? Hey, I'm back with an update. As I've already mentioned in Edit 5 of the previous post, we've broken up. Here are the details. I went home from work, and I was pretty sure our relationship was over. I didn't care about it anymore, and I just wanted it to be over, thanks to y'all. I never knew internet strangers could have such a profound impact on my psychology. I now wanted someone who could match me in freaky. When I reached, she was sitting on the couch, with her belongings already packed in boxes. It's my house, and she'd only moved in 2 months earlier. She said she needed to talk and clarify some stuff. She began with an apology, saying she didn't mean to demean me or make me embarrassed. She said she was in shock that a straight man can like stuff like that. She said she did some research and came to know how common it was, and was really sorry for throwing everything in my face without knowing any facts. However, she said that she couldn't fathom anyone liking this stuff, as she herself doesn't like anything else other than vaginal sex. She again apologized but said we couldn't be together anymore as our differences were too great. She said she felt like she lost all the feelings she had for me, even though I said something totally normal, and she acknowledged it. She then wished me well and vice versa, and we parted on good terms. Honestly, I'm relieved this ordeal is over, and my only worry out of this was if she'd blabbed to everyone else. She didn't, and assured me she won't. Thank you, everyone, for your support. It really helped. After her reaction, I was feeling like a freak, and reading y'all comments helped a lot. Feels good to be not the only freaky and know others like this stuff too. I'm feeling pretty relieved and free, and I must say, 3 pegs of whiskey, a joint, and self-pleasure is undeniably the best combo after a breakup. Take care, everyone, and keep on being freaky. Love you all. Next story. Am I the a-hole for marrying a man who proposed to me while I was on the toilet? Advice needed. It's not as bad as it sounds. My friends are just obsessed with that part. I think. Fake names. My 32F fiancé Peter, 30M, had arranged a candlelight dinner in a hotel room. There were flowers, rose petals, and music. There was my favorite dinner and my favorite dessert. Peter was in a tuxedo. I was wearing a dress. That evening was so amazing. While I was eating, my IBS started acting up. I ran to the bathroom. It was mortifying, but at least I was comfortable enough with Peter to allow him to come in. I apologized for ruining our evening while I was on the toilet, and he said it was okay. I felt like he wanted to ask me to marry him the whole evening. I told him I love him, and he said I love you too. I told him, I'm sure you'll take care of me in sickness and in health. That comment made Peter smile, and he got down on one knee. I didn't care that this was the situation. I was so happy to say yes. I felt like he wouldn't have asked that evening if I hadn't said the in sickness and in health comment. I told my best friend Kate, 33F, and another friend Bailey, 33F. I told them the truth. Kate said it's weird, creepy, and an a-hole move on his part. I explained that he likely would have put it off if I didn't mean the health comment. Kate said I was desperate, and that I should have some respect for myself. Bailey said, if I thought Peter would ask another time, then I should have let him ask another time. Before talking to them, I thought I had the sweetest proposal story. Now I feel like an a-hole who caused my amazing fiancé to have a terrible story. Am I the a-hole?